At the same time, an interesting situation developing in Ukraine and in Russia. The head of Ukrainian intelligence making some very eyebrow-raising remarks. Let's put this up there on the screen from the Kyiv Post. The head of Ukraine intelligence believes that Navalny, Alexei Navalny, the Russian dissident who died in Russian prison, quote, died of a detached blood clot, says that the cause of death actually aligns with the initial assertion that was made by the Kremlin. Now, this is sparked a lot of discussion because it's like, well, is this confirmation that he did die of natural causes? However, that one countervailing piece of evidence, which definitely needs to be discussed here, is put this up there, please, is according to Navalny and Navalny's organization, after his death, there was actually a prisoner swap proposal that was being discussed, which would have allowed for the swap of Navalny in exchange, and likely Evan Gersovich and possibly even another American who is in custody, to be traded for a alleged Russian hitman who is being held in a German prison. This is somebody who Putin has personally spoke about before. The question
including
then,
for a while in that interview
with the Tucker Carlson. So the reason why, I don't know, we've read it two ways. And I read it one way, which is, well, maybe he did die of natural causes, because why would you kill him if he was going to be a valuable part of the prisoner swap? The other is, well, they killed him so they don't have to swap him and have to deal with him on the outside. Both seem equally and very plausible. The other thing that I come back to is, even if he did technically die of natural causes, if you guys saw the video, he looked terrible the day before he died. I mean, it's very obvious that being in prison, you know, newsflash, not good for your health. So I don't know. That's kind of my summary of the situation.
It's sort of like if Julian Assange died in prison right now of quote unquote natural causes. It's like, well, his health is in such poor condition
because of the
captivity, because of the imprisonment, because of the years of effectively like psychological and physical torture that he has endured. So then if, you know, even if someone didn't slip poison into his tea, he still was really murdered by the state. You know, he still did not, in my opinion, die of natural causes in the same way that someone who is free and living their life, quote unquote, dies of natural causes. That death is still on the hands of the United States government and, you know, the UK government at this point as well, who have been imprisoning him for years at this point. So I sort of view it in the same way. With regard to the Ukrainian report, there's a few things to put out here that, because I was talking to our friend Yegor about all of this, and he, for what it's worth, Yegor is very convinced that Putin actually murdered this guy. Now, he doesn't have any special knowledge. He's just reading based on his, you know, insight into Russian politics and specifically how happy Putin seemed after Navalny was dead. But he said, keep in mind, the Ukrainians also hated Navalny, which may be sort of confusing to you, but they wanted him to be very explicitly pro-Ukrainian, and he didn't follow along with the messaging and the positioning they wanted him to take. So they didn't like Navalny either. And there's also a question of like how they would have this special knowledge into whether it was a blood clot or whether it was something else. So as I said, listen, in terms of the specifics of how he died, why at this moment, I do think it's compelling what the Navalny team is putting out there. Their theory is effectively, they said Putin was clearly told the only way to get Krasikov, that's the dude he talked about in the Tucker Carlson interview, who he clearly wants back, is to exchange him for Navalny. Putin decided, since they're willing to offer Krasikov in principle, then I just need to get rid of that bargaining chip, then offer someone else when the time comes. So that would be the theory on the side of it was Putin. It wasn't just, you know, him dying from being in captivity, but it was, you know, an explicit intentional murder. Do we know? Will we ever really know? No. But again, to me, the top line of however you feel about him, right? Political prisoners should not, first of all, there shouldn't be political prisoners. Second of all, they shouldn't be held in abhorrent conditions. Third of all, they certainly shouldn't be murdered. No matter how you feel about them, whether you agree with their politics or not, his death is on the hands of Vladimir Putin. That, to me, is very clear cut.
And the question now about the prisoner swap, kind of interesting, some news that just broke out of the Financial Times I have in front of me, that the Germany appetite apparently for the deal with the Kremlin is now much lower. As you said, because Putin had assumed that if they could swap him in principle, then all he had to do was to have some sort of, he would get rid of Navalny and then he can offer up as Evan Gersevich and possibly this new American citizen, dual American citizen, who's in prison in Russia. But it appears now that the Germans are cooling on any sort of prisoner swap. I mean, one of the reasons this is bad news is, look, Evan has now been in prison now for almost, what, 300 days? I mean, he's nearing a year in captivity. Seems fine, you know, the images that are coming out of Moscow, he appears healthy, but, you know, it's not good, as we learn here with Navalny, to be put in prison for quite a long time. So I would hope, certainly, that even if yes, I think this is abhorrent and all that, but like we need to get our man out of there as soon as possible. And, in exchange for a Russian hitman, doesn't seem like too bad of a deal.
So be it.
Right.
So
exactly.
be it. Absolutely.
So be it.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.